Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Accelerated ID series. My name is Katie Short, and I am the Director of Learning Solutions at the Instructional Design Company. And today we are jumping back into Vyond Part 2. So just a note, if you haven't gotten a chance to see our last Vyond episode with Star, definitely check that out after today. It's going to be available on our YouTube channel. So as just a reminder about Star, they are a former teacher who currently works as a freelance instructional designer, e-learning developer, and diversity trainer. So today we will be digging a little deeper into all the features and possibilities that come with using animated video with Vyond that you might encounter as an aspiring instructional designer. So with that, I want to welcome Star into our session. Hey there.
Thank
How are
you. I'm
you?
so excited to show you all more of my favorite tool. We'll get to do the extra fun stuff now that you know the basics.
Yay, perfect. Yeah, we're going to build on some of those foundations. And again, go back and see that part 1 if you haven't gotten a chance after today's session. And it's going to help you build those little basics, and then we'll build onto that today. So with that, I'm going to add in your screen, and I'm going to get the heck out of here, and I'll give you the reins.
All right. So as you can see, I've already got a Vyond video pulled up because we already talked last time how to get to this point. This is just a template, but I want to show you how to do enter effects. So let's say you want each one of these objectives to fly in timed with the voiceover, right? So the first thing I do, as I group the objective with the bullet point, because otherwise they'll come in at different times and it doesn't look great. So what I do to group any objects can be grouped. So you click on the object, and then I'm holding down my shift key and clicking on the other object, and now I right click and group. So I would want to group each one of these with its bullet point because I want it to fly in at the same time as the bullet point. So click, shift, click, right click, group, click, shift, click, right click, group. All right, so then I start putting in my enter effects. I'm working on a series right now where I think it's like 5 different modules, and each module just a normal instructor-led training, but we're starting it with a little video that has just the objectives and the agenda, and it just makes it a little more fun. Gives the facilitator a chance to take a break. So to make my objectives fly in, I'm going to choose the objective. I'm going to go to enter effects, and you can see I've already picked one here, but you would go to effect. There are a ton of different effects that are really fun. The ones I almost only use are fade and slide because they look the most professional. The others are super fun, but in terms of something that you want, like for corporate, I don't really end up using them much, or you might throw in one here or there. So I would choose what I want to slide in and then choose slide and what direction I want it go towards. So I want it to go to the left. And then I would click on each one and choose slide left for it. And have an extra bonus today. I'm going to show you how to use Audacity to get a better quality voiceover to add to your Vyond video. So that's exactly the sort of thing that you would want to coordinate here. All right, so I click on my scene, and then I click this little button right here, and it shows each one of these. Now, I don't want them all to flow in at once, right? I want one to come in at a time as I say it in the voiceover. So if you hover over here and push the green, you can move this to come in whenever you want. I just end up listening to it about 1,000 times and adjusting it until it sounds just right with the voiceover. So as you can see, you would just move them to where you want. Now, if for some reason you want them to come in more slowly, you would adjust the length here. I've always just kept it at the standard length because then I know they're all the exact same, but I'll give you a look at what this looks like. So we'd have our voiceover, we'd be listing each objective, and the objectives would fly in. So for me, this has always been a reasonable amount of time for them to come in, but you can always adjust down here and make them come in more slowly or more quickly. Also want to talk to you about scene transitions. That's another one where there's a lot of fun things you can do, but mostly to look professional that you're only going to use a couple. So let's say we want to go from our objective scene to this coffee house scene. And I'm just going to minimize that since we don't need that right now. You can choose the scene transition. I can't choose an exit effect for this whole scene, but I can do a scene transition. So I would click on the background and choose enter effect. Oh, wait, are you getting, give me the transition. Here we go. And then we have pretty much the same options. I like to use slide left a lot to go from one scene to the next because it kind of looks like you're turning the page in a book. I would be consistent. I would pick one and use it every time you use a transition. Go ahead and use the exact same one. I pretty much only use slide left, or I'll use fade because it kind of dissolves away. Here we go. What happened was I was actually clicking on the coffee shop instead of the background. Now that I'm clicking on the background, we've got scene transition. So the ones I use are usually slide, and I'll show you what that looks like, and then I'll show you on here what fade looks like. But the same idea, you could go to scene transition. Fade is nice if somebody's sleeping or dreaming, especially. You can do regular fade, fade to black or to white. Sometimes what I end up doing at the very end of a presentation is I'll just put a plain blank scene that's super short and then end with a fade into that very last scene. But I'll show you what this looks like here. So if we were to, let's make this short so you don't have to watch it all over again. So you can see what these transitions look like. So I'm just previewing. So when this is done, see it slides left, looks kind of like a book. And then this next one will show you what fade looks like. So just kind of fades out nicely. And just like with your exit and enter effects down here, you can make it take a lot longer to fade. You can make it a lot more happen a lot more quickly. Whenever you add an enter effect or a scene transition, it's always going to automatically put it at the very front of that scene. Now, I picked these because I want to show you a few fancy camera tricks. So we talked last time about how to zoom in. I do diversity training. I do a lot of videos where people are having a conversation. So let's say I wanted to start this with my camera zooming in so that the audience gets the idea, okay, we're at a coffee shop. Oh, okay, we're listening to these two people talk, right? So if you remember from last time, since I want to continue, I want the next scene to pick up right where this left off, I would right click on my scene and choose continue scene. And see now it's just showing where I was before. All of this is stuff that the viewer won't see. So what can be fun if you have a lot of talking back and forth is to just show one person at a time who's talking. So the way I do that is using this camera position up here. So let's say it's going to be a long series of them talking back and forth to each other. So every other scene is going to look like this with her talking, right? And then I'm going to go right click, continue scene. And the scenes where he talks are going to be focused on him. Now you can see I kept the exact same size of a camera. That makes it look good. And then what I do, if I have a long series where they're talking back and forth, once I have this exactly how I want it, so I would go up to here to, I would select her, I would choose actions. Let's say I have her talking. So when it's zoomed in on her, she's talking. And we would just pick whatever makes sense. And then when it's zoomed in on him over here, we're going to want him to be talking. There's a lot of options for basic things like talking and walking. I encourage you to mix them up as much as possible, just so it doesn't look robotic. Just so your viewer doesn't notice that it's doing this. The character's making the same motion over and over. there are a lot of really strangely specific options in Vyond. A lot of that, most of them, I will admit I never use. Like someone's explaining something while holding a laptop, it just doesn't happen. When you find the ones that you end up using a lot, what I do is go to the more and add it to quick access. Uh, and that way I get the ones that I use, almost every single video. And then it's just easier to find them amid 20 different kinds of talking, one of which has a wine glass and one of which is holding a laptop, or. So I always mark the ones I'm going to use the most. So these are just plain old talking. So what I would do, more talking and sitting. So what I would do is I'm going to select her. I'm going to right click and choose copy. I want it to go to her after this scene. So click on the scene you want it after. So now I'm doing Control V. So we're going to want her on there a bunch of times. So I'm just going to put a few of them in there, and then we'll get them in the order we want. So in every other scene, we're going to want to focus on him talking, right? We'll have voiceover for him. So same thing, right click, copy, go to the scene you want it to come after, and then Control V to paste. I want it after this scene, Control V. And same thing, I want it after this scene, so Control V. Then what I'm going to do, so that's the quick, easy, fast way to make them go back and forth talking to each other. But then what I do is go and alternate which talking actions I'm going to use. So I don't want her body moving in the exact same way every time. So I clicked on her for action, talk. It'll show you the one that I've already picked out for her. Oh, whoops, we want talk and we also want sit. There we go. So we'll pick one for her, but then in every one of these scenes, I'm going to pick a different talking action for her, just to try to mix it up a little bit. Again, just so she doesn't look robotic and like she's doing the exact same body motions. Each one of these, even though they're all sitting and talking, it's going to be just different enough to make it look natural. So I'm just going to make sure every time she's talking, I'm using a different action. If you run out of options, that's fine. Just go back to the beginning. The main thing is you don't want every single time for her body to be moving the exact same way. So then I would do the same thing with him. I would just make sure he's using a different talking action every time he's on screen, just to make it look a little bit more natural. So I would go to talk, sit. You get the idea. So let me show you what this looks like. Preview it. So let's say we're having a discussion about unconscious bias. So the learner sees, okay, we're at a coffee shop. And then, oh, it's loading. It zooms in on the people I want the learner to focus on. And then it's just going to go. So she might say, I learned something cool today in a work training. I want you to, have you heard of unconscious bias? And then he would talk. So then it flips back to him. And I won't go through the whole thing. You get the idea. But it's just a way to make it a little more interesting instead of just, you could just stare at the two of them talking the whole time. I think that gets a little boring. Anything you can do to switch up the scenes makes it a little more interesting. Panning is another really fun one. I'm making a video right now where I have to show the difference between assertive, passive, and aggressive. So let's say this is assertive, passive, aggressive people, and I have to introduce them at the beginning. So in order to pan, I'm going to choose my camera, add camera, and get it wherever I want it to start. So let's say I'm talking about her, and then I will right-click, continue scene. And, actually, let's add our movement first. Well, here's an easier way. Never mind. So we'll make this a nice long scene, and we'll talk about her for a minute, but then we want it to slowly go to her and slowly go to him. So I'll click on this. I'm going to say add camera movement. It makes this, the ending movement the exact same size, which is really important. That's what you want. And we'll just make it slowly go from one person to the other. Now, any camera movement, it's going to automatically make it for your entire scene. So if I make this scene shorter, it's going to go through this movement really quickly. If I make this scene a lot longer, it's going to automatically make the camera move more slowly. So I'll show you what this looks like. But again, it's just another fun way to do little camera tricks. Oops. Oh, this one has curtains. I've never used this. I haven't used this template before. Apparently it's curtains. All right. Well, let's get rid of the curtains so you can see what the panning looks like. Huh, that's fun. All right. Another one. So we went over masking. When you're working with text, your best bet is to use templates. So I want to show you what's available. So if you close out whatever you've searched last and choose text, you'll have a ton of different options. As I've said before, templates save you a lot of time. They've got all the little details in there. I always end up playing with them a little bit just to get them just right. But let's say in my example before, you want to give objectives and you want to give the agenda. When you choose a template, you can see they've already picked out an enter effect for you. So I always start everything by going and removing all the effects they've had, because I like to do it my own way. And then when you click on this, you can see, okay, this template comes with, they already have the shapes coming in. They already have the text coming in. You can leave it like that if you want to. Now, they didn't group like I did. So see how if you click on this, this is this shape here, and the text that goes with it is, so show us where the text, I guess they didn't put that in there. So the text is separate. I wouldn't want the text to come in at a different time than my shapes. So here we go. So you can see for this shape, they're making the shape right here come in at the exact same time and at the exact same speed as the text. If I wanted to keep it like this and just write in my own text, to make it easier, I click on this and drag, and I just put if I haven't grouped it, I just put each one after the one that I want it to come in at the same time. Then I can line them up and make sure they're exactly lined up. If you are even a little bit off, it's going to show when you preview. So that's working with text. Another little template trick I wanted to show you is if you put a number in there. So let's clear out our search, such as 3. You can get anytime you need things in thirds. So look, we've got a nice Venn diagram. We've got 3 steps here. If you just need it evenly in 3 different sections, there's a number of different numbers that will work that just, again, give you a great shortcut. I use 2 a lot when I've got people talking on the phone because it just makes it easy to have 1 on each side. I'd say that's the one I use the most frequently. Another trick I actually did not learn until I was on my biggest Vyond project, and no one could figure it out. And finally, one of the other animators figured it out. Our voiceover was fading off at the end, even though we hadn't selected fade. And obviously that doesn't sound right. That's not what we wanted. It turns out under video settings, it automatically turns it all on fade every single time you start a new video. I think that's a weakness in Vyond, but you'll want to know that's there because otherwise your voiceover is going to fade off at the end. Now, I'll show you some tricks. I do like to have my music fade. When I do background music, I usually put it at between 2 and 10%. So let's say we wanted to pick some background music for this. I want it through my whole thing. So I'm going to select my first scene. Going to go to music. Then pick any one of these so you can test them here. So this is a nice calming one. We'll pick that. Click which one you want. Now it's going to go the whole time. It will automatically stop. So you see it goes past here. The video is going to stop when the scene stops. So this you don't have to worry about. It's not going to just keep going with nothing to look at. If you want to fade this, you can right click and go to settings, and then you can turn the fade on and off. But let me show you what I do before I get to set the fade is I set it to the length I want it. So right click, split. I'm going to select this and then just delete it. Nope, sometimes delete works, sometimes. Vyond has a temperament. Sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. Well, anyway, we won't hear that anyway. So go to the one you want, right click, and go to settings. And now I'm going to hit fade because I wanted it, because if I had just hit fade and it still went on, it wouldn't fade till the end, way past when our video is actually ended. So you can see it fades gently here. Again, for background music, I put it between 2 and 10. So you can write in whatever percentage you want, but that's between 2 to 10 seems to be about the right amount to still hear the voiceover clearly at a reasonable volume. I showed you the numbers. Oh, so I'm going to show you a few little fun tricks. I hadn't realized that those curtains close, but I did know that we have an elevator that closes. Here we are. We have an elevator that opens and closes, and there's also sliding glass doors. So let's make a template for that. And I'm going to show you a few tricks. Let's just add a blank scene and see if we can find those sliding glass doors. I will show you tricks to make people come and go. Here we go. So if you click here, you can see the automatic door is going to open and close. So we'll put that in there. I recently made a shoplifting video, and so I had to show the character kind of walking out the door with the backpack and the stolen goods. So that's when it ended up being perfect to use these sliding glass doors. So there are a few little tricks to make it look natural. The first thing you want to do is figure out what color you want your audience to see when these doors open. So let me show you what would happen if we didn't do anything. I don't want it too long. If we did nothing, it's just going to go to blank, which can be fine, but it doesn't look natural, right? So what I do is I go to props and get a rectangle. And I am going to cut a rectangle so that it fits behind here exactly. Let's go ahead and put a background so you can tell the difference between my rectangle and, my store. So let's just see if they've got a store for us. All right, here we go. Just so you can tell the difference. Oh, that's not helpful. Let's find a better one. Here we go. So let's say we've got our sliding door is going to be right here, and we need to have a character disappear through it because the character is going to leave. So I make a rectangle that's going to fit behind this perfectly. Make it whatever color you think is natural for what they would see behind the door. Now, Vyond will let you crop. It won't let you adjust up and down. So get it to about what you want, right click and crop, and then just go ahead and crop this rectangle so it's the exact same size as your sliding door. And then I'm going to right click and send it to the back. So order, send it back. So now when it opens and shuts, we'll see whatever I want audience to see back here. Now I could make a little store scene back there or a mall scene. Anything works. Let me show you what I do to make a character walk out and disappear through these doors. So what I would do first is I would continue this scene. In my first scene, I don't want the doors to open yet because he's not walking. So what I would do is select my elevator, go back and get the non-moving version of the exact same elevator. So, oh, whoops, these are sliding glass doors, not elevator. I'll show you the elevator too because that's another really fun one. Automatic door. So this is the exact same thing, but it doesn't open. So I'm selecting this, I'm choosing replace, and I'm putting in the version that does not open. So then I would have my character. We can pick anybody. Oh, come back. I wonder what that did. Let's send this to the back. I'm not sure why it did that. oh, you know what happened? I still had replace on. It just replaced my character with, let's undo that. It replaced the doors with my character because I forgot to turn off replace. So let's try that again. Replace. We want it with the stationary doors. And then I'm going to hit escape so it's not going to replace anymore. And now I'll add my character. So let's say I wanted him to start walking out the door. He's got the stool and stuff in his backpack. So I went to action. I typed in backpack. There's only a couple options, standing or walking. I would right click, flip action, so he's walking the right direction. Then I'd put my motion path in there. And I would adjust him so that he's gonna end up right in front of that door. All right, so I'll show you what this looks like. And then we're basically gonna want him to disappear through the door when the door opens. So he'll walk up here, and then I'm gonna do right click actually, and let's continue scene. Let's go ahead and move our lovely rectangle that we made. Let's copy that and stick that behind here. Right click, order, send to back. Now what I'm going to have him do is keep walking through here, but he's going to fade away as he walks. So I would do another motion path. This time it's going to be pretty short, right? I just want him, so to adjust my motion path, I have to click away, click him again, and then I'm going to have him walk, let's say right about here. And then I'm going to choose, when he gets here, I want him to fade. So I'm going to choose him and continue scene. Once we get here, I'm going to choose an exit effect and have him fade away. So it'll look like, as you know, he'll walk over here, the doors will open up, and we'll see whatever's but we want behind the doors, and then he's gonna keep walking here as the doors open and just fade away. So let me show you what that looks like, and then I'll show you how we make our own little mall outside those doors to make it look realistic. So here's our shoplifter. Doors oops, why aren't the doors opening? That's weird. Hold on. Oh, you know what it did? It continued the scene. We need to go and replace back with our moving doors. Here we go. I did continue scene and forgot that we didn't use the moving doors at the beginning. So here we go. And let's do moving doors here too. So let's replace with sliding. Actually, I don't want it to open twice. So I am going to leave these as not open doors. All right, so I'm going to, whoops. I'm going to choose this, replace, and put back the non-opening. And then I'm going to hit escape. So let's try that again. So our shoplifter is walking toward the door. And then it's going to open as he gets there. Why is it still not opening? That's odd. Well, it should be opening and he disappears. Oh, it put another one in for us. I apologize. It is not agreeing with me today. But here we go. Thankfully, you always have your handy dandy back but undo button. So see, apparently I didn't have replace selected. So I added another set of sliding doors rather than replacing the one that was still. So let's try that again. So I'm going to hit escape, make sure I don't have replace anymore. Let's make sure these are also the moving ones. Replace with the moving set. Escape so we're not replacing anymore. And let's do that again. So he's walking toward the door. The door opens. And he will fade away. Now see, here he's walking a little farther than I want and not fading quickly enough. So what I would do is, I don't mind him walking all the way over there actually, because I want him to, be disappearing back behind here. But what I would do is make this shorter. And then because I want him to fade immediately, I'm going to select my fade here and put it all the way at the beginning. And then make this scene nice and short. So we would, and we can do the same thing with elevators. Walks over here, keeps walking, and then he will fade. So, okay, he didn't fade before he hit this door here. So what I would probably do is make him walk even less. Oops, that's simple to do. Select him and then select this. And I see, okay, I want him to fade away before he gets to this pane here because only these parts are opening. So, easy to adjust. Now, I want when these doors open, I want them to see the mall back here, right? Not just a white panel. That doesn't look like anything realistic. So what I would do is build whatever scene I want them to see behind these doors. So let's just start. I would pick a background and let's see if they've got anything for mall. So, all right, this is perfect. This is what we want our learners to see when they peek through the door. So let's take our rectangle here, right click and copy. Go back to this scene. I'm going to Control V to paste. So this is about the amount of space. This is the space that we're going to have that the learner is going to see when those doors open. So what I end up doing is I just use snippet. I find that's the easiest way. So I want the learner to see this when the elevator doors open. So I use whatever free snipping tool I've got on my computer, but I've got this rectangle here as a reference so I know what size I want. So let's go ahead and say we want about the size. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be hidden behind your scene, but the closer you can get, the easier it's going to be. I'm going to right click. Oops. Did it save it? There we go. And then I'm going to save this. So let's make this mall. There are other ways to do this, but this is the fastest, easiest way I've found. All right, so now I've got my little picture of a mall that I want to appear behind these doors. I'm going to go to Upload, Upload File. I'm going to choose Mall, choose my little mall, and go back to this scene where the door is going to open. So let me just move that door a sec out of the way. And instead of having this here, we are going to want our little mall back here. So, adjust that. So it looks like I need to crop it just a little bit so it's not sticking out of the side here, but that's no big deal. Crop. So we're going to fit it to the exact size of our elevator so it doesn't show behind the elevator. And then we'll have a nice realistic scene when our learner, I think that's about right. Yeah, when our learner sees what's behind the elevator. So we want this to go all the way to the back, right? We don't want it on top of our person. So I'm going to right click, order, send to back. Going to bring this back and we know right where to put it, right? Because we have that little, oh, let's get rid of this white rectangle. We don't want that anymore. And there we go. So let's put this on top. So now, and let's get rid of that. The other thing I would do too is I'd probably want to have, after he disappears here, I'd probably want to have another, just this scene of just the plain doors, right? Because to make it look natural. So let's put this here and do paste and get rid of him. So remember, these are our non-opening doors so that after he disappears, we'll just have the doors there. So one more time, he'll walk toward our sliding doors. The doors are going to open and see, we've got that little mall behind there and he's going to disappear. And we see, okay, now he's gone, right? Go on with our story. Like I said, you can do this with the elevator. It's the exact same idea. There's moving versions of this elevator and non-opening versions. And you're just going to put whatever scene you want behind there. You can put a person behind there and have the doors open and then have your person walk out. Lots of different options. Those are all the most important things I wanted to show you in Vyond. I'm going to show you just a couple quick tips. Vyond voiceover, you can do it yourself, but it's just not great. I don't love the quality. You can go here and add your own audio. What I recommend is downloading Audacity instead. It's completely free. There are a million buttons that I do not know how to use, but I have learned how to do literally 3 things on it, and that's all I've ever had to do for clients. I I encourage clients to hire voiceover artists, but a lot of time they don't want to. I'm literally working on a multi-year project that they've budgeted $3 billion for, and they don't want to pay for a voiceover artist. They're like, nope, we do that in house. So just to give you an idea, there are a million voiceover artists out there. They will all contact you once you put instructional designer on LinkedIn, but there's just not always the money for them. So what I do to record is super simple. The first thing you want to do though is to let it record for about 3 seconds with no noise, because that's going to pick up all your background noise that you're going to want to get rid of. So I would let it, well, this isn't helping because I'm talking. Let's let it record. All right. Welcome to our presentation. We're so glad to have you here. We'll start by going over the objectives. Okay, so this part here is where we wanted that silence, because we're going to need to analyze that so that if I have my air conditioning running in the background or whatever, we can get rid of that. Now, we don't want this. We know we don't want this stuff at the beginning, so I'm going to select it, highlight it, backspace. Super simple. Now, to get rid of all the background noises, again, let's say someone's mowing your lawn right outside, just bad timing. You're going to select those 3 seconds of no talking, and you are going to go to Effect, Noise Reduction, and Get Noise Profile. That's going to pick up all that stuff in the background you want. And then after I've gotten my noise profile, I'm going to select and highlight the stuff that I want to get the noise removed of, so noise reduction. I don't play with this. You can find plenty of YouTube tutorials to do it perfectly. I don't bother because their basic settings have always come out fine for me. So choose OK. And that just gets rid, you see these lines now in between are flat. That's because it got rid of background noises. So then, okay, I don't need this beginning anymore. That was just for the noise reduction. Let me, and then welcome to our presentation. We're so glad to have you here. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Sometimes it doesn't come through. The last thing I do is anything in between sounds. Now, noise reduction will get rid of a lot of the background. It won't get rid of mouth noises. So if you take even just take a breath in between each sentence, you're going to hear that. If your mouth clicks, all these weird things I didn't realize I did until it was recorded. So when that happens, you don't want to cut this out, because then we wouldn't have that pause between the sentences. So what you do is go to Effect, Amplify, turn it all the way down. And once you've picked that, any little place in here in between your sentences that you want to just get rid of a breath or any other little noise that's not part that you want, after you've chosen amplify once, you just go to Effect, Repeat Amplify. So on a normal voiceover, let's say I've got 3 minutes of voiceover, I'm going to see these little spots in between every sentence, and I'm going to do that amplify or repeat amplify on every one, just because it just makes it sound so much more clear. Only tricky thing about Audacity is you can save this. You save the project, that saves separately from your MP3. So let's say I wanted to save the project as test. To actually turn this into something you can upload to Vyond, you're going to go to File, Export. I always just do MP3, doesn't really matter. So that's called test now. So now I have the MP3 file. I can go back to Vyond. I can upload it here. I won't go through all the steps because it's buried in my box somewhere. But now I'll just have a voiceover that I can just add right in there. Another little trick I want to show you. Sometimes what I'll do is put family pictures on the wall. If you know, a lot of times you want to convey a lot that you don't want to have to say, this is the family sitting in their family room, right? How are you going to show that? Well, one way I do that, let's say I have my family here, is I go ahead and put some little pictures on the wall. I don't do this a lot for clients, but like for your actual like portfolio, if you want to impress people, this is a nice way to go. So whatever the family looks like, I would put some pictures of them on the wall. So I had a scene that the kid had grown up and now he was grown up and gone off to college. So the way I showed that was I had the kid sitting here. I got rid of all these pictures in the background and I had, okay, let's say we have his baby picture on the wall. So you can see there's the kid now. He's got his baby picture, and then we've got, oh, he's a little kid playing soccer. And then we've got a picture of him now. And okay, you get the idea without anybody saying, this kid lives here, right? It's got to be his parents or his grandparents because there's pictures of him all over the wall. So easy way to communicate that. What I do to create these is that same snip like I did for the mall over here. So again, I would just throw it, I would just put a plain background. So let's make a blank scene. Let's say I just wanted a plain gray background like you get in a professional portrait studio. I would throw my character on there. So let's say we want a picture of her on the wall. Or let's say we want a picture of her whole family. Let's just put a bunch of random people in there. And I would arrange them as if they were taking a professional photograph, you know, whatever looks right to you. I would make them all smile because you got to smile for the picture. Get it just how I want it. And then what I do is I go and find a frame for them. So go in here and type a picture. And you've got a lot of frames to choose from. Now, if you choose something like this, you can actually do something called masking. I'll show you, masking only works for one object in here. So it'll work if you just want a picture of one person, but not more than one. So let's bring him to the front, right click, order. Oh, what? He's not in the front. Right click, order. There we go, bring to front. If I crop him, so let's say I just want a picture of him. Remember, I can only mask one at a time. Masking basically cuts off all your extra stuff and makes something fit right in here. You can't do it with all the objects in Vyond, but there are computer screens, TV screens, lots of different things you can mask with, which I'll show you. So let's say I wanted to crop him to make him fit in my picture frame because I'm going to have a picture of him on the wall. So whatever picture you want, then right click away so it crops. You see how this comes up here? This is the masking. So the Vyond detected that I wanted him exactly within this frame. So it automatically masked him. So if I click on him, this mask button comes up. I can remove it and he comes back, but that's not what we want to do. Now, but in this case, if I put another one in there and crop her, let's move her to the front. It's not going to let me mask her because you can only mask one item, you know, per picture frame or per TV. So in this case, I would arrange my people. Let's unmask him. So however I want them for my family picture. Oh, they should have shaved before their picture. And then I've got this here to show me about what size I need. Same thing before. I use my snipping tool. I go to new, cut out about what I want. Now, see what I forgot to do here was to select away, and we have this red line around him. We don't want that. So let's do that again. Now the red lines are gone. I'm just going to want this little thing right here to put in my picture. So I will go to my snipping tool and just cut out whatever I want in the picture. And then just like before, I'll save it and upload it over here. And then I can just put family pictures on the wall. It just makes a nice little detail. What I've done before is even if I wanted to show that two people were married, I've used their wedding template and gotten, let's say, so I take my characters, I would replace them here. What I ended up doing is getting rid of this, getting rid of the extra stuff, replace these characters with my characters, got rid of the confetti. This is actually confetti in the background. If it might not let me click on it, but And then did the same thing. Use the snipping tool, cut out my nice little wedding picture, and then see I've got the background. I can get some flowers in there, whatever is going to fit in the frame. And then bam, I've shown them with just a glance. They can see, okay, these people sitting in the room are married because I see a wedding picture of them on the wall. Another fun way to do that is with webcams. This is another thing I wouldn't do just for a regular client because they're not going to want to pay me the time that it takes. But let's see if it'll bring up an example. The time it takes for me to make it. Nope, let's try computer. But what you can do is using the exact same idea is have a computer screen come up, and some other, maybe this one doesn't have a webcam. Well, here, okay, so let's see. We want to look at who he's talking to. What I would do is get my little cutouts. Maybe I would make a whole scene with a picture of somebody in an office or a picture of them at home in their home office. I would use snip and cut it out. And then I would just very carefully replace each one of these little pictures. And then I can have him looking at the webcams of whatever I want him to see. So for my portfolio, for each of my people here, I went through and made a whole office scene in full size, just because that was the easiest way to do it. Use my snipping tool and then just made it small enough to fit right in here. So do we have any questions? I think those are the main things I wanted to make sure I got through for you all.
Yeah, so I've got a few questions here. Thank you so much. All of this is so cool. Just like last time, I feel like it's just, there's so many different possibilities. So maybe a lot of steps involved, but like at the end, those little, like adding pictures up on the wall. How cute is that?
I love it. I adore it.
Yeah. Just so many things. I want to start off with just a general question. So as we talked about kind of in part one, but just in general, what situations or clients or projects really would animated video like this work well for? So what would be
so I can give you a few examples of what I've done. I worked on a project that was 15 units of lessons for middle school teachers on how to support at-risk students. Basically, how to teach them positive behaviors to do, okay, instead of hitting somebody when you're mad, instead of yelling, like let's learn how to breathe, or how to de-escalate them if they're dangerous to other kids in your class. And they actually made almost the entire thing Vyond video. Now for this, they had the voiceover done professionally. They had just a few clips of live actors that they showed, but the base of all 15 units was just Vyond. I do use Vyond a lot just to show like a conversation in e-learning. Like I said, I do a lot of diversity training. So my Rise course or my Storyline course, I just throw a little Vyond segment in. Right now, I'm working with a client who gets a 30-minute webinar every month, and then also gets a text message course for 6 days, which kind of reinforces what I taught them in the webinar. So I usually throw 1 or 2 videos into the webinar just so they don't have to listen to me talk for 30 minutes straight. And then what I'll do is I'll make some other videos and upload them to YouTube as a private link, so only people with the link can see that. And then I'll include that in their text message course. So one day, when they open their message and it says, oh, here's an example of how to talk about ABC. They click on the link, takes them straight to YouTube, and they see one of these little Vyond videos. So yeah, just anything. What else? Oh, so I'm doing a military therapist training right now. Basically, therapists who specifically work with military families are supposed to give lessons on positive discipline for kids, financial skills for the new recruits. So we're using Vyond for all of that. We found the subject matter experts found videos that they liked, but number one, we don't own the videos, so we can't use them if we can't get a hold of the person who owns the video. Number two, I spend hours on YouTube trying to find just the right examples for my courses, and it's hard. It's actually a lot easier to just make your own video. The other thing they were worried about with this therapist training is okay, well, what if we're, legally you can link to something online. You can't download from YouTube. That's illegal. But legally you can link to YouTube and someone can go see it. But what if the original person takes it down and you can't get a hold of them to get permission to get the original copy of it? Well, you don't want to have a dead link in there. So what they did is they were like, you know what, Star, just make us Vyond videos for all the videos we want to put in there, because then we own them, we can embed them, we don't have to worry about, the link's going to be dead in a year because the original poster took it down. So
That's
I hope that
perfect.
answers your question.
No, and it becomes evergreen at that point. Like they can
Yeah,
decide
exactly.
to make changes. It's not necessarily something that they think, oh, it's not going to be there, or
Right.
I'm not going to have access to it. That's perfect. And so can you talk a little about the paid software? Like I know it is paid, but is there a free trial? Is there a tip for it? Do you have anything that would go with that subscription
There's a
cost?
free trial. Unfortunately, it won't let you download. So over here, when you're finished making your video, you can download it to 1 or 2 sizes, or you can even make a cute little GIF. It will not let you download unless you have a subscription. So that's the tricky part. They do sometimes have deals like on Black Friday. Most of the people I work for, the company already has their own Vyond subscription, so I haven't had to buy one yet. When they hire me, they give me credentials and add me on, and they pay for me to have my own Vyond seats. And then that way, after I make the videos, I can go to here and share, and anybody else who's on this company account, I can put their email addresses in here, and that way they can, they own the original video. So yeah, unfortunately, I think it's a 7-day trial, but you can't save it.
Yeah. But again, you could potentially work for an employer or a client that would have that subscription included.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, perfect. And then we had a question about adding anything to the quick access toolbar. Where does that show up? Is that going to be like
That is a great question.
top or? Yeah.
So quick access, I mostly use with actions. So when I choose an action, if I go to video contents, it's going to show me anything I've added to my quick access. And then it's also going to show me any that I've already used in this video.
Perfect.
The one thing I don't like about Vyond, it will not save your quick access from one video to the next. So every time I make a video, I have to go and add the ones that I actually use to my quick access, because 90% of the actions I never use. It's mostly just these same few: talking, walking, sitting. So yeah, just right over here under video contents is where all your quick access is going to come up. And then I go back here, and this goes to my menu.
Perfect. And then would you have any recommendations for similar products to Vyond that has the same sort of features or that follows the same sort of process that maybe someone could get practice with or on a budget until they get this subscription?
You can do a lot with Powtoon. I got spoiled with Vyond. I much prefer Vyond to Powtoon, but Powtoon is way more affordable. I don't remember off the top of my head how much it is because it's been a while, but you have a lot of flexibility with Powtoon. If you just want a video and you don't need a lot of options, Biteable is another good one, especially if you just are trying to, have a lot of text in there or that sort of thing. So yeah, Powtoon is a cheaper option. You can't do as much, but it's way cheaper.
Yeah, it's always good to get practice and kind of get some
Right.
some of the skills going. So that's a great one. So anything else we're going to drop into the comments. And Star, thank you again so much for being here today. We really appreciate you sharing all this good stuff with us again, because it's always so interesting. And I feel like you can kind of just I wanted to watch that shoplifting video. Like that is so neat to see.
Right? Isn't that fun?
Yeah, like as a mall, there's just so many different ways to interact with people or have people feel like, yes, that's me on screen, or that could be me in this situation. And then they feel like that they're really a part of it. So that's so, so cool. Thank you again for being here and sharing with us. For our viewers that are on today, Star has a Vyond Facebook group. So if you'd like to join and are interested in learning more about beefing up these Vyond skills or getting any sort of information just about this program and things that you'd maybe use as an aspiring instructional designer, definitely drop into that Facebook group, and we will drop the link to that Facebook group into the comments for you to be able to check that out. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for everyone being on today, and to you, Star, for sharing all your good stuff with us. I really appreciate you being here. Keep your eyes peeled for even more great episodes in this Accelerated ID series. So thank you, everyone. Stay safe, everyone, and keep accelerating. Bye, guys.